Do you ever catch yourself replaying the same conversation in your head over and over again? Or thinking of every possible way that a situation could go wrong, even before anything happens? Maybe it's intrusive thoughts that pop up out of nowhere. Thoughts that don't even feel like you. If you feel like your brain is constantly on overdrive, you're not alone. Overthinking can be mentally exhausting, leaving you feeling stuck, anxious, and unable to move forward. But here's the truth. Overthinking isn't a personality trait. It's a habit. And like any habit, you can break it. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 7 powerful strategies that will help you quiet your mind, make clearer decisions, and finally free yourself from the trap of overthinking. Let's get into the video. Before we get into the solutions, you need to understand why overthinking happens in the first place. Overthinking is a form of mental self-protection. Your brain wants to keep you safe from failure, embarrassment, or regret. So it tries to analyze every possible scenario and prepare for the worst so that you feel like you have some sort of control over the situation. But instead of helping, it paralyzes you into endless what ifs. This mental loop triggers stress and anxiety, making it harder to take action. And over time, it trains your brain to keep repeating the cycle. But the good news is, you can break the pattern. So let's go over 7 proven strategies to take control of your thoughts and finally stop overthinking. Number 1, name your thoughts instead of becoming them. One of the biggest problems with overthinking is that we believe every thought that comes into our head. But just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. Next time your mind spirals, try this. Give your thoughts a name. When you try to separate yourself from your thoughts, they lose power over you. Think of it like this. Imagine an annoying backseat driver constantly criticizing your every move. Would you take their advice seriously? Probably not. Your overthinking mind is that backseat driver. Learn to recognize it and stop letting it control you. Number 2, set a time limit for your decisions. Overthinking thrives on indecision. The longer you wait, the more anxious and uncertain you become. So instead of letting decisions drag on for hours and days, set a time limit. Small decisions, give yourself 5 minutes. Big decisions, give yourself a deadline like 24 hours. And here's the game changer. Once the time is up, commit to your decision. No second guessing. Most people think they need more time to make the right decision. But in reality, extra time just adds more doubt. When you set a deadline, you force your brain to focus and trust your judgment. Number 3, challenge what ifs with reality. Overthinking is fueled by irrational fears. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I regret this? But here's the thing, most of these thoughts are not based on facts. To break this cycle, ask yourself, has this fear actually happened before? What's the most likely outcome? If the worst happens, could I actually handle it? This shifts your brain from fear-based thinking to logical problem solving, which makes overthinking disappear. Most of the time, we assume the worst. But when you actually take a step back and look at the evidence, you'll realize that the worst case scenario rarely happens. Number 4, interrupt the thought spiral with action. Overthinking thrives in stillness. The more time you sit and ruminate, the deeper you sink into analysis paralysis. The best way to stop overthinking is to take action immediately. If you're overthinking a message, send it. If you're overthinking a decision, make it. If you're stuck in your head, get up and move. Motion breaks the mental loop and shifts your focus into doing instead of worrying. And here's the key. Small actions count. Even just getting up to go for a walk or focusing on your breath can snap you out of this cycle. Number 5, use the worst, best, most likely rule. When your brain spirals into worst case scenarios, use this simple technique to snap out of it. Ask yourself, what's the absolute worst thing that could happen? What's the best possible outcome? And what's the most likely reality? 99% of the time, the worst case scenario isn't even as bad as you think. And the most likely reality is way less dramatic than your brain is thinking it's gonna be. This technique helps your brain shift from catastrophic thinking to realistic thinking. Number 6, limit mental replays of conversations. Do you ever find yourself reliving past conversations, obsessing over every little thing you said? This is a huge overthinking trap. Your brain tricks you into thinking you need to replay these moments. You need to analyze them. But in reality, this trains your mind to stress over everything. Instead, set a mental rule for yourself. You get one reflection, then move on. If the conversation didn't lead to a major consequence, let it go. Your past doesn't need your overthinking. Focus on what's ahead instead. Number 7, replace overthinking with problem solving. Overthinking is focused on problems. Mental strength is focused on solutions. Instead of spiraling in negative thoughts, ask yourself, what can I do about this now? What's one small step I can take right now? This shifts your brain into action mode, stopping the cycle before it starts. If there's nothing you can do, then it's time to let it go. Your time and energy are too valuable to waste on things that are out of your control. Overthinking doesn't have to control you. By using these 7 strategies, you can finally take control of your thoughts and create mental clarity, confidence, and peace. Now, if you've really been struggling with overthinking and want our process to help you implement these strategies to relieve that overthinking, your stress, your anxiety, click the link in the description and schedule a call with us to see if we're a good fit.